Hey guys, welcome back to Serial at Midnight. My name is Heath Holland. Look, I'm going to keep this introduction really short and sweet. I just sat down and had a chat with Jeff Rauseo from formerly Films at Home. That's one of the reasons we're talking, is because Jeff is taking his entire creative output, YouTube, social media, in a different direction. And it's a cool direction, but I had to talk to him about that. So this is really kind of a creator summit to grizzled vets that have been part of this machine, this YouTube machine for years now, maybe airing public grievances. We're talking about what works. We're talking about what doesn't work. We're talking about the changes in the audience, changes in the collection scene, changes in the platforms that we've been using to get our messages out there, and new directions. So I think it's a lot of fun, but I'm going to tell you guys, listen, I cut nothing from this conversation. Zero edits. This is the raw, full deal, man. There's some gossip here, there's some dirt here, but there's also a lot of optimism and excitement. I think it's refreshing. I think it's a really good conversation, a conversation that's important to have, if you know what I mean. So listen, you know Jeff already, but I'm going to put links in the description of where you can find his show, his social media presence, and support the man, because it takes guts to do some of the things that he's doing. I'm not going to circle back at the end of this episode for like a summary or a conclusion or anything like that. I'm just going to wind it down, let it end naturally. So let me say to you guys, thank you for checking this episode out. Please do like, thumbs up, subscribe, all that stuff to support independent creation on platforms where that is more important than ever before. All right, without further ado, Jeff Rauseo.
Got to start with the changes. So you are no longer Films at Home. You should start there.
Yeah, technically. I mean, it's still my like my handle on YouTube. I kept it there. But yeah, I don't know. I just changed it to my name. It was just my name kept popping up on, like, if I did like an interview for like an article or something, and it was like it was always so confusing. People were like, well, Films at Home, like what should we call you? And I was like, well, I have a name. Like, there's a real name. And so I don't know. I just changed it. Just why not? I felt like I was changing some of the content. So I was like, if I'm gonna do that, let me just change the name. It's not changed everywhere yet, because some places like won't let you. Like Instagram has been pending my change for like a month. They have to like approve it. Yeah, they don't let you change your name on Instagram if you have, I guess, more than a certain amount of followers for
where else they don't let
reasons.
you change your name? On the forums.
No.
They will not.
Well, that's not good. I better not.
That's
go back
where I
over
got
there.
into so much. They were like, this is the where all the drama started with the Blu-ray.com forums. Is like, I got an email on Thanksgiving Day 2 years ago, and it was like, your name is it was the name, my username on the forums was CerealAtMidnite. Like, your username is in violation of our whatever, like our standards and practices or whatever it is. And I was like, all right, I'll change it. And they're like, no, we're deleting the account. And I was like, well, no, hold on a second.
That's crazy.
Let me change it. And they're like, no. And that's when I started to realize that it was probably about more than the name. It was probably like, we don't want your kind around these parts. And I emailed, well, first of all, I reached out to like, I'll say this is on the record, I guess, but like, I emailed out to like industry friends and some people that make discs and stuff. And I was like, this is kind of messed up, right? And they're like, hold on, that's real. They were like, self-promotion, we promote all day long. That's the whole reason we're on there, is to promote stuff. They're like, why would they not want you there? And I was like, well, I think they see me as competition. And they're like, oh, so they gave me one of the reviewers' email accounts, and it was like I emailed him. It was like I walked into his house during dinner. He was just like, how did you get this email address? So I was like, this person gave it to me. And he was like, no, sir. And that was like, it was weird, man. So anyway, just to the point of like trying to change your name or whatever. And there's more to that story, but I feel like I should probably save it for another time when I really need to.
Sounds juicy.
On street, yeah.
But yeah,
anyway, you're just going with your name, and you've rebranded a lot of it's like a soft rebrand. I mean, you're still talking about a lot of the
soft. Yeah. I think that's I have to keep reiterating, because I mean, nuance on the internet that's not a thing. So yeah, people just kind of initially reacted to like, that's it. I'm unfollowing you. You're not, but it's like, no, I literally am just kind of cutting out one part of what I was doing fairly consistently, cutting it down to only, I would say one a month tops, where there'd be like a disc that I'm like, I'm really going to talk about just this. Otherwise, yeah, it's still going to be like I made that video and I was like, I'm going to cut back a little bit on these 4K reviews. People are like, you're never going to cover physical again. And then Disney and Sony and Disney Movie Club stuff broke. And my
Mhm.
next two videos were about that. So it's like I don't know. I'm trying to get that point across that we're still gonna talk about this. The collection is still all part of it. It's just different. It's just the reason I started in the first place was I have a collection I want to share. I love movies. Nobody else around me in my life cares as much as I do about movies. So let's share it with the people in the world who do. And that was really it. And then I kind of fell into like this rabbit hole of the 4K review and went down this kind of niche path. And I mean, I'm
Well,
grateful
we
for the
should
stuff that
say,
came
like, as
out
a
of that.
YouTuber, you want to lean into what works. As soon as you see the
Yeah.
views going up, you try to lean into that. And also, the algorithm's going to feed that because they're going to support, we like
Yeah.
this. This got engagement. Let's do more of that. And then before you know it, that's all you're doing.
Right. And then it's burnout. And then it's, you need 5 of those a week to keep up. And then, what I kind of realized too was like, unless it was James Cameron or it was Oppenheimer or it was something super top tier that everyone cared about, like some of those videos with 100,000 plus subscribers were getting 4 or 5,000 views. So then, but a video about physical media in general or my collection will get 40, 50. So I'm like, in my head too, I'm like, well, this actually isn't even what people want. And I might, yeah, piss off some of those 4 to 5,000 people that came out for all of those. But I'm also alienating the other 95% of people who do want to watch and hear me talk about things. And they're not getting the content they want. So I think there's a shift in balance there. Why was I doing 5 of these and 1 of these when it should be the other way?
Right. I'll tell you what I'm finding though, because I've been trying to shift focus since New Year's. It's been months now. It's hard
Yeah.
because it's like Godfather 3. I'm like, just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in. It's like I don't want to talk about, I mean, like I do a ton of product coverage and to the point that I'm burned out. I mean, it's too much. Like no human being can talk about that many new
Yeah.
releases and it not become I don't know. What does it become? It's not that it's not fun, but it just becomes you're saying this. I'm saying the same things over and over. It just
Right.
becomes kind of numbing at some point. And I
Yep.
think the audience is getting bored with it. And so it's just like you can't go to the well too many times without shifting things around. But what I
Yeah.
have discovered is like I leaned way hard into I mean, I don't have to tell you, but like, and people are watching this, they know too. But like I leaned so hard into like like the stuff I'm really trying to discover, which is like 30s movies and stuff.
Hmm.
And people are like, we'll follow you wherever you go, but they didn't. They said they would, and then they didn't do it. I'm making all these videos, and sometimes they go, "I didn't even know you made that. I didn't even see
Yeah.
that. It didn't even come up in my feed."
Right.
I don't know if the problem that you and I face is the audience says they want something, but what they actually want is something else, or if it's the algorithm, or if it's both.
It's probably a little bit of both, but the algorithm is a beast because that just all it sees you as is just data. It doesn't
Yeah.
see a person. So it just sees you did this for, especially when you've been doing it for as long as we have, and you've been doing this for years and years and years, and now you're trying not to do that. They like I from what I've read into it, there's like short-term punishment, but hopefully long-term kind of like it recalibrates and it finds the right people and maybe new people. And then that helps drive it to the people who are watching it. They'll start to see more recommended because, yeah, they're just not gonna like, they're not gonna see this stuff because the algorithm's like, what's this? I don't know what to do with this because I'm a dumb computer program and I'm not a human. So
Yeah.
it just literally doesn't know what to do. And so it just shuts down. Like it just doesn't show it. But I think you can recalibrate it but it's going to take time. Like it took years to teach it what you were doing before, so now you have to sort of unteach it and reteach it, and that's frustrating and hard.
Mm.
But we're
And
all slaves to
legit,
the algorithm.
I legit don't know if I've got the juice for it, to be honest with you. Like at this
Yeah,
point in the game, I'm so freaking tired, man. I'm just so tired of like just doing the same stuff, you know? Like this thing, this wears you down. Do you feel the fatigue from this? It's you don't you have not burned yourself out the way that I have. Like I was doing. I mean, you said like 5 videos a week, but I think I've told you this before. Like at my peak, I think I did 17 days in a row of daily videos trying to feed that thing and make it like
yeah.
to make it a success. Um, and the rest of that's just it exhausts you.
It does. And there were points in time. I don't know if I ever did 17 days in a row, but there were points in time where like I would be like, yeah, I had a video every day for, a week or for 10 days or even just 5 days in a row. And it's like, yeah, at the end of that, I'm just like, I'm burnt out. The creativity well dries up a little bit. And you'll notice like if I recorded stuff in batches that like my first couple I would do in that batch were good. And then by three or four, I was like, the energy wasn't there. You're kind of like dragging through these last couple. And so I stopped doing that too. And I just stopped recording as much and just kind of at this point, I'm like, if I'm laying in bed and an idea comes to me, I'm like, all right, I'll write that down and I'll do it at some point and it'll get out there. And when it gets out there, it gets out there. Like I just can't, yeah, I'm with you. Like I just can't worry about having a post every day. And I just wasn't seeing it help either. Like
Mm-mm.
it wasn't helping. It was almost like if you're like cannibalizing your own content by I posted and then I posted the next day. So YouTube's like, well, screw that video from yesterday. You have a new one that we're going to push to everybody. And then you kind of repeat that. And yeah, I just have found like spreading them out a little bit gives a little more time to breathe. More people can find them. And
Mhm.
then there's, a better response to the next one in a week. It's kind of like watching a TV show weekly versus dumping it all on Netflix at once and having 10 episodes and burning through them and then it's done and it's over
Yeah.
and you're like that's out of my head now. I don't need to think about that show ever again. Like it's that kind of model.
But you know what? Is I have found the opposite to be true also. Like I agree with what you're saying, but I'm also experiencing the opposite of that, which is that if I don't feed that machine, it flatlines and
Yeah,
it all starts to go down, like and it's those red arrows down that are always so upsetting because I'm like, I worked so hard on this
right.
and it died 24 hours after I put it up, or maybe 12 hours. I'll put up a video like in the morning when I wake up, like I'll post the video and it'll be like, this is your number 2 of 10 or whatever they rank them as. And then I
Right.
just watch it slip further and further down over the course of the day. And I'm like, well, more people should be watching this. This should be finding its way to more people as they discover it or whatever. It really feels like I feel like I'm being throttled and it's frustrating.
Yeah, that is the most frustrating, I think, like metric insight that they give you is that whole like where does this video rank in your last 10, because it is counterintuitive. It doesn't, yeah, you'll wake up and it'll be 2 out of 10. So like, okay, algorithm gods, like this is my second best out of my last 10. So
Yeah.
why is it now third, then fourth, then fifth, then sixth? Like, so it wasn't the best according to you. Like it didn't work. So why was it working and then it wasn't? And that's like that's the weird thing is like your viewers, if it dies after the first 12 hours, then it's like your viewers watched it because they're the ones who are most likely to see it in the first 12 hours. And then it's up to search and being recommended. So why, if all of your viewers are like, yeah, this is a good one,
Hmm.
12 hours in, it's my second best. And then YouTube's like, yeah, but it's not good for anybody else. So we'll just kill it. Like it really doesn't make much sense. I can't figure it out.
With all the changes that you're making behind the scenes, or not just behind the scenes, but in your content, do you see just where are you at? Is this something you want to continue to pursue for the coming years? Or are you feeling like, well, I'll tell you this, I feel like YouTube is sort of in decline. I feel like we are watching the platform sort of decline but I don't know what the next thing is. I don't think it's TikTok. I mean, I know you've had huge success on TikTok. I should
It's
tell
not
people like
TikTok.
what?
It's not TikTok. Yeah.
It's not TikTok, but we like 2 years ago we talked and we were off. It was after one of our conversations. We were talking like not on camera, and you were like, "I think I'm gonna do TikTok. I think I'm gonna get into it." And then you did, and it was like this mushroom cloud that just blew up. Like it was huge for you. And then I was like, I guess I should try to do it because that's the thing we're supposed to do. And I hate it. Like it's not a good fit for me. And I have not success. Like I can't even. I'm not even
Yeah.
to 1,000 yet. So I just kind of bailed on it. Anyway, I don't know what the next thing is. So I'm just kind of wondering, do you see a future on YouTube as it has been for the last, I don't know, 5 years? Or do you think that we're kind of transitioning towards something else that we don't know what it might be yet?
I think we are sort of transitioning and everybody's transitioning to like you have to there's a lot of conversation about like owning the audience versus letting the platform own the audience and that conversation's been hot right now because of people who have, millions of followers on TikTok and now they're gonna, ban it or shut it down. It's like, well, if they shut it down and you haven't brought those people other like to other platforms or you don't have them on an email newsletter list or some other way you can connect with them, they're gone. Like you don't it's I mean it's like digital media versus physical media. Like they can shut it down and it's gone. You
Mhm.
don't own any of it versus, hey, I've got an email list with 10,000, audience members who are engaged and want to see what I'm up to. And so I think it's more of just like the way I look at it, I'm still going to have YouTube, but it's actually now my third biggest platform, where for a long time it was the biggest. Instagram blew past it, TikTok has blown past it. Um, so it's there, it's consistent. I'll give it credit for that. Like it's consistent. You get it, it pays better than other platforms. TikTok is junk.
Yeah.
Instagram doesn't pay anything, no matter what. I've had Instagram videos get 10 million views. You get $0
Right.
um, for driving all that ad revenue for them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I give YouTube credit there, but part of me is like, I need to start thinking about other ways to expand. And if that's like writing or doing a newsletter or writing books or
Mhm.
doing, a podcast, I think like I'm gonna start mine up again in a few weeks and like having these different forms of media that are different than just here's a 10-minute video. Just different ways to engage with people. It's hard though, because then you get so fragmented. Like now we have to deal with 6 or 7 different platforms, plus you're trying to do some in-person projects and things like that. And like I'm trying to, you've done some of this too. Like it'd be great to get into commentaries or writing. And like I had an essay in the Dante's Inferno movie from TerrorVision that's coming out. And like I want to do more of that stuff,
Yeah.
which also kind of led to the name change. Because like when I write that stuff, I'm not going to put, hey, written by Films at Home. It,
Mhm.
it's it's going to be under my name. So that's the
Yeah.
way I'm kind of looking at it. It's like you just have to sort of take this audience and try to figure out how to get people to just follow your journey through film or whatever you're up to in different ways because YouTube's not reliable. TikTok's even worse. They're not reliable platforms. The algorithms don't bring you back after you follow somebody. So you have to
Mhm.
get them engaged in different ways.
Well, and another benefit of having projects outside of YouTube, well, there's so much anger around these communities. I don't know how bad it is on TikTok or Instagram. I didn't really experience a lot of anger on TikTok, but I didn't have the success you've had with it either. YouTube is so angry these days. I mean, everything is
Yeah.
so furious all the time. And if you're on a commentary or an essay or whatever, people have already bought that thing. They're already a fan of it. They're not coming like, okay, what do you have for me? What can you do for me? Like they're already going to be engaged with it, you know? And so that's a better experience already. I don't know, like the anger and I feel like it really started, it's always been there, but it really kicked into high gear during the pandemic. And
Yeah.
we turned a corner, and I don't know if we're ever going back. I mean, it's like to the wall outrage every single day. Somebody posted on social media today, they were like, the last week in fandom is probably the worst week we've had in a long time. So it was something like that. And I'm like, we're talking about the Cameron controversy. And I was like, it may be there was so much outrage over things that ultimately do not matter. They're not important. They're not food on the table. It's not like,
Right.
anybody being bombed or invaded. It's movies and it's entertainment and it's being treated like it's life or death.
Yeah. Well, and that, so to go back, yeah, my YouTube comments are, eh, it's it's funny. I'm not gonna like out anybody because people keep this private, but I get private messages that are way more positive,
Hmm.
and then they'll say like, I didn't want to come into your YouTube comments because the YouTube comments are just so insane, but like I wanted to let you know privately, like one-on-one through an Instagram DM or something, or I'll get an email and they'll say, hey, I liked what you said there, but like I knew if I said that in the comments, it was just going to turn into a thing and I was going to have a million replies. And, so there's that whole, and yeah, it happened during COVID where people, I think, just were like, people got angry and people are struggling too. That's the thing. When I see those comments, it's like they always say about like bullies are the most unhappy people in the world. Like the reason they're bullying is because they're unhappy. It's the same with YouTube comments. It's like people are unhappy or are struggling, and mental health, I think, is at an all-time low,
Sure.
and the internet is not helping. And it's just that vocal minority that feels like this is the only place that they can just like rage is just like YouTube comments. And Instagram to a lesser degree, TikTok to a lesser degree. There's something about YouTube specifically that brings that out, and I don't know why, but it yeah, the last week has been crazy because the outrage is also like people are like complaining that, if they don't like them or whatever.
Hmm.
There's all these complaints about I don't like what's been done here and whatever, and you can debate that with all the AI and things that happen. Like, I get that, but some people are taking it way too far into like these are trash and these shouldn't be purchased, and then turning around and in the next comment complaining that their pre-order didn't get to them on time. So, like, there's people are outraged that they're not getting them. The studios, Disney sucks. Disney can't get this stuff out to me. They can't ship it. They don't have stock. But also these suck and nobody should buy them. But you want your pre-order very badly.
You want
So
it. You want it.
it's
They're
sort of
complaining.
completely misplaced anger and outrage, and I don't know what to make of it because they obviously sold so well that they can't keep them on the shelves.
Hmm.
They're very popular movies, and that to me says 99% of the people out there are not so concerned about the nitpicky pixel by pixel argument. And that was a real eye opener for me this week as to like, yeah, Oppenheimer sold a lot, but it was also objectively really well done on the disc. And Christopher Nolan spent a lot of time and people agreed. These ones were the opposite, but still sold just as well. They sold like hotcakes. You can't get them. You already can't get versions with the slipcover because the whole first print run's gone. Like they sold incredibly well. So yeah, the mass, that silent majority who's just buying these things and enjoying them as movies
Yeah.
that you're not going to see in the YouTube comments, they're fine. They're just they're just having fun. They're loving movies. They just want to own some of their favorites, some physical media. And I was like, I am feeling myself falling every day much more into that crowd than into any sort of outrage, negativity. We need to bash this. James Cameron should ever be allowed to touch a movie again. Or it's like, you go tell him that as he's making $10 billion for Disney.
Yeah.
Like
Printing money, right?
it's the same with George Lucas. It's like, who am I to tell? I'd love to see the original Star Wars, like
Mhm.
unaltered and everything, but like it's his. Like who like if that's the change he wants to make, I may not agree with it, but like you kind of have to accept it. It's his work. Like nobody complained when Taylor Swift re-recorded all of her albums. So
Which
what's
is so weird, right? Because people complain about everything, but they didn't
right?
complain about Taylor Swift. It's like she can do.
They're
What is
different.
the goodwill? Like,
Yeah.
why does one thing get such like, I love
I,
you, I'll follow you anywhere, and then like George
I don't
Lucas
know.
or James Cameron, they're like, I hate you. You're a monster.
Well, they hate them until, like we all hated the prequels, right? But
Yeah.
now people have come around to those, and now we hate Disney Plus and Bob Iger and Kathleen Kennedy and what they've
Uh-huh.
done. And it's like, yeah, we hate James Cameron, but when Avatar 3 comes out, it's going to make $2 billion and we're all going to go see it. So like, it's just, it's short-term thinking. And it's
Yeah.
just this immediate resort to rage and outrage in the outrage culture. And just like, there's no long-term rationality.
Well, and we talk about the formats. Like, obviously, you love 4K, I love 4K, but there's a huge audience out there that is never going to adopt
Yeah.
4K.
Yeah.
They might not have even adopted Blu-ray. And I want to talk to them too. I don't just want to
Right.
talk to an elite group that one can afford a huge 4K collection because that's a huge investment. Or even the Blu-ray. I'd rather just talk about. I mean, I'm still talking about tons of formats. This is the irony of this: is I want to talk more about movies, but they pull me back in. I'm still talking about discs like 3 times, 4 times a week. But there's so much of a bigger audience out there that just wants to watch things, and it doesn't matter. They're happy. They spend what's Disney Plus? It's like $13 now or something. I don't even know. You
Yeah.
spend, that is a small amount of money, and you can watch basically it does as much as you can fit into your eyeballs in
Hmm.
that 30 days. And then for people to complain about that, I mean, like, so I'm not a shareholder for Disney. I don't care if they succeed or they report losses or whatever. I'm not
Right.
invested in that. I'm not an investor and I'm not invested in that. I'm invested in people, I always wanted to share my love of movies and of pop culture and of stories and hopefully encourage people to go check things out. Like, speaking of Disney Plus, okay, so like, oh, some of these movies that came out, I don't know, like the 70s Disney movies that are basically just completely missing now, but they're on Disney Plus and people can go check those out. That's a much bigger audience. How many there's like 150 million Disney Plus subscribers.
Yeah.
It goes down and comes up. There's maybe 100,000 of us that are buying discs passionately, maybe a little bit more, but on an average week, there's not that many of us, but there's such an outrage at the idea of like how could you not talk about the 4K? Like if you love movies, I saw you just posted a video. And I'm going to date this because I'm not exactly sure when this conversation is going to be posted, but you posted a video talking about we take 4K too seriously. And
Yeah.
it's a great video with great, well made points, very approachable. You're like, I want to talk about movies. I love movies. And the comments, man, the comments, people who are like, yeah, but you pay $40 for it. You ought to get to complain. What? No, I mean, I don't know. The rift between me and the general audience is growing. It's not the general audience, the collector audience. That rift
Hmm.
between me and what I want and what they want seems to be getting wider every day. And I don't know. I don't know how to talk to those people anymore because I feel like they've kind of lost their mind in a lot of ways.
Yeah. The 4K collector market, that small group that's like, I will only buy it if it's on 4K. And I don't want to generalize everybody because there are people who are just like, I only buy 4K copies and whatever. Like I don't blame you if that's what you want to do. There's plenty to buy. And you watch the rest of your stuff wherever, that's cool too. Like I don't really care what you do, but there's a like if you go on to the forums or you go on to Reddit and the 4K Blu-ray Reddit, and there's just like it's literally become just like it's lost it's lost the plot. The movies are gone.
Just
It's
an
just
airing of
about
grievances.
yeah, and it's just about how things look. And it's like what a stressful way to go about this because there's so much more to this. That's not the reason you started collecting. Like I just can't imagine you started collecting because
Yeah.
you wanted the look. At least not in today's day because you can, I mean, yeah, I mean, I'll defend it to the end of times. Like it's not as good as streaming, but damn, they're getting closer every day. So, and a lot of people don't have the equipment that they can even really take advantage of this stuff or care to even notice the differences. So
Right.
it's not like I don't know, that group has become just all about the rage clicks and the pixel versus pixel and pausing the screen and breaking down. And it's like nobody, but you just don't watch movies like that. That's not actually watching a movie. That's doing a really
Yeah.
in-depth technical analysis. And if you want to do that, that's totally your prerogative and you can do it. But yeah, I don't connect with that because if I go to a movie theater and I'm not watching something at home, I don't sit there and analyze the color and ooh, looks like there was some, edge enhancement applied here. And it's like,
Black
I come,
crush all over the screen.
yeah, I
Yeah.
go in to watch the movie and then I come out and I talk about the movie. And maybe I didn't like it, or maybe I did, but I'm not gonna ever come out of a movie in a movie theater and be like, unless it's an absolute disaster and like the projector is just like off and which I've had happen. Like then I will say, hey, that sucked. But like otherwise, you just come out and you talk about the movie, and I'm like,
I saw The
it,
Phantom Menace on opening day back in '99, and the movie started. There was the crawl. We're so
yeah,
excited. It's like the return of Star Wars. We were so excited.
huge.
The crawl, and then it's like Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon on the ship, and it's like, and then like it was like, and then it went like something happened, and they
Oh
were like,
no,
they turned it off and they turned the lights on, and we had to go stand in the hall while they refigured the whole thing, and then they started it over. Like we got to go back in like 30 minutes later, and they started it over. That's still one of the most frustrating film experiences I've ever had. And I don't know what happened, but I was like,
yeah.
we could hear. That's part of like it went black for a while, but we could still hear it. He's like, "You're right. The negotiations were short." And we're like, "What? What happened?" Like your lightsabers firing up, but you can't see them. It was
Yeah,
amazing. It was like amazingly horrible, but it's a cool story.
yeah.
So,
But right, I
um,
mean that's just not what you go.
right.
It's not why you watch movies. And then the minute I started getting stressed out and like I had to stop and start a movie 5 times at the beginning because I was like, I gotta check my TV settings. I gotta play with this. Hold on, something's wrong. Let me check. Like that obsession and the anxiety that was triggering just removed any joy from just watching something. And that sucks. You don't want that.
No, no. There should be like movies are magic. I really believe that movies are magic, and if you're not investing in them, I just feel like you're missing the point. And again, because people only hear one thing, I want to be very clear here. I'm not saying that the presentation doesn't matter because
Right.
it does,
Hmm.
but we can't control what everybody else wants. We can't tell people how they should consume a movie. We should just be happy they're watching a movie in the first place. We can have thoughts about it, but I don't know. There's so much gatekeeping, man. It's exhausting. I yesterday somebody asked about they were talking about the series called Parker Lewis Can't Lose, which was a 90s TV series, which was basically Ferris Bueller for television. There was a Ferris Bueller TV show, and that wasn't good, but Parker Lewis was good. And it never they put that I think they put out 2 seasons on DVD in the US and then they stopped. I think it was Shout Factory put those out. And in Germany, they've got a complete standard definition on Blu-ray complete series set. And I was just referencing, and I told this person, they commented like, I know I love this series. It's a shame I can't have it. This is why physical media matters. And I was like, well, there's a German region free Blu-ray, and they were like, well, I still mostly do VHS with a little bit of DVD. And I was posting about it. People were like, what? Tell this person to get in the new millennium and all this stuff. I'm like,
Right.
look,
But
it's making them happy. Who cares? Like, who gives a crap?
exactly.
None of our
Exactly.
business.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that was exactly my point. It was like, for again, people are going to read into this and be like, this guy doesn't care anymore, blah, blah, blah. Like, I love the 4K format. I've got my stuff. When a movie looks great, it looks tremendous. And if something is truly royally screwed up when it comes to the production or the way that something comes out and it's a mess, we'll talk about that. But I'm not going to tell James Cameron what he can and can't do. Disney did everything they were supposed to do. They took what they were given and they put out a good disc from what they were given. And so you can't get in on them. But yeah, at the same time, like I recommend movies all the time and it'll be like that's it's only on Blu-ray or maybe there is only a DVD. And it's just like, yeah, well then I just won't watch it. And it's like, but that's
Where I'm at. This is what
that's
I've
crazy.
discovered. It is totally crazy. And for years, because I was one of these people for a long, long time. I mean,
Hmm.
I've been buying my media for over 30 years. I started with VHS. I transitioned to DVD in 98. I sold all my sold a bunch of VHS tapes at a local pawn shop for DVD. And we knew the guy that was checking me out. And he was like, Heath, you shouldn't do this. This DVD thing's not going to catch on. And I was like, I feel good about it. I'm going to do it. And then I was there for Blu-ray, now 4K. But what's interesting is that there were a lot of movies that I was hoarding basically. Like I go to thrift stores and pawn shops looking for those movies that did not get a Blu-ray upgrade, looking for those
Mhm.
old DVDs because I'm like, that's the only place you can see them. Now they're on streaming for one thing, but they're also often available digitally through. So people watching this digital, like streaming video on demand, so like subscription based streaming and digital ownership are two different formats. So you can stream through Disney Plus. You can also often buy a movie through iTunes or Apple Music or Apple Movies, or
Yep.
now it's Fandango now. For like $5, they have these sales all the time. And so I've been doing that. I've been leaning really hard into that. And people are going to go like, you don't own them. No, it's true. You know, I don't own my discs either. I own the disc, but should those fail, that's it. And my discs are starting to fail, which is a troubling thing. But $5, these movies that I have been hoarding on DVD, I'm like, oh, it's actually in HD digitally. And I can
Right.
download it to my computer, or I can put it on an external hard drive or whatever I want to do with it. There's a fair amount of, and if it gets delisted, it's still in my collection. I've actually yet to lose anything. No, look, I'm not trying to proselytize digital because I've embraced everything these days. I will watch stuff on streaming. I will watch stuff digitally. I love my
Mhm.
4K disc collection. A lot of the stuff I'm going into with old movies, it's only on DVD. So it's everything, everything everywhere all at once. It's like I'll take whatever I can get.
Yeah.
I don't understand why fandom feels this obsessive need to put up these boundaries and say, this is what I do. I will not do this. I will not do this. Staying in my lane, and I'm furious at anybody that gets out of it. Like if you stay out, if what you do conflicts with what I do, we got a problem. Like
Right.
it doesn't matter. It's entertainment. Why are we taking entertainment so seriously?
Yeah. It's the same. The crowd that is like, they'll ask you like, Duh, do you know the internet exists? Why do you have all those discs? It's stupid. And then there's a crowd that's like, I will never stream because streaming is evil and da, da, da. And it's like most people just do both. A lot of people still have DVD collections at their house to watch. I'm always shocked when I go somewhere or like I'm at somebody's house and I'm like, oh, they have some of their favorites too. You buy your favorites, you watch a bunch of other stuff on a streaming platform. Like you said, I mean, I literally I don't care where you watch it. There's a ton of stuff that I just watch on streaming, and it is what it is. You may not, if the movie's your favorite, maybe you want the best version, but if you just want to watch it, like even the Blu-rays now are a buck or two, bargain bin stuff you can find. Like, so just buy that. You don't need that highest version. It all depends on what you like and what you want. And if you want to put your discs in binders, which I've done, and I know you've done some of that too, like
Uh,
do that. There's nothing wrong with that either. Like if you want to just keep them in storage, great. Like you want to get rid of them all. You want to convert them to digital, put them on a hard drive. Like realistically, it's all temporary.
yeah.
Realistically, it can all go away, whether a service shuts down or yeah, your disk gives out or it's too scratched or whatever happens. So just like enjoy. We have literally I said in this video, like there's an embarrassment of riches right now between, the streaming services are a pain in the ass to have to sign up for all of them, but
Mhm.
at least you have the option because
Yeah.
never had that option before. And I think that they will start to consolidate again because they got a little crazy and that'll all come back down to earth. But you can walk into a Walmart and there are DVD, there are Blu-ray, and there are 4K. You have three different physical formats alive and well at the same time, I, I I can't think of another time that was the case. Maybe there was some overlap with VHS, laser disc, and DVD, but not to the level we're at now with
Right.
with the availability. So like it is seriously an embarrassment of riches. You can go on Apple TV, Amazon Prime Video. There's 100,000 movies on there that you can download. It's crazy. We've never had as much access, and yet people are raging harder than ever. So I don't get it.
we've never had this much access. We've never had this much like the quality of what's out there has
Right.
coming from where I've come from, a lot of this stuff was only on like a tape master, like it had a 3-inch tape master maybe, and that had a DVD taken from tape. And now things are getting 4K restorations, and even if they take a 4K restoration and just put it on a Blu-ray, well, first of all, that makes people angry because they're like, "Why do 4K?" And let's talk about this. I want to pivot just a little bit because
Yeah.
people are going to watch this because we've heard every argument a million times. So we know this is coming. People are going to go, okay, you're a traitor to the physical media community because you're talking about streaming, you're talking about digital, and
Right.
you're not angry about it.
With our 3,000 plus discs, we're traders to the community.
Man, I'm at like 7 and I'm
Yeah, I
feel
was yours is bigger than mine. Yeah. We've got
yeah,
10,000 combined, but yeah, we're
yeah,
traders.
right. That and somebody actually told me that. They're like, you're a traitor. For the idea out there that there's a war, it's that whole like they want you to own nothing and like it. That like it's become a political thing, really. But what
Yeah.
I want to say to people is to remember that the same people that are in control of the digital distribution of this stuff are often the exact same people that are over the physical distribution. It's one guy at the company
Yeah.
who's like, okay, we'll put this on disc, we'll put this on streaming video on demand, we'll put this on whatever the distribution format is. It's usually coming from the same person. They just want you to buy it. They just want you to or to their job is to make sure that you have it wherever you choose to want it. It's
Right.
not, no one is fun, and we know the people that make this stuff too. We know like the people at the studios. There is no conspiracy to take our like it's like their guns, right? They want to take your guns, like they're gonna show up at your door and be like, your media, please. That's not a thing that's happening. They want to
Right.
sell us everything. They're like it's money. That's the
Yeah.
business. It's
Right.
crazy.
No, it's just yeah, and the reality is, yes, at most of these studios, I don't care how big they are, there's like three or four people max who work in like the home entertainment team.
Yeah.
Even some of the stuff, it's actually incredible, some of the stuff that we're getting, considering the size of some of these teams. And they outsourced a lot of it, and there's some good people out there helping them, and that's why you're seeing so much licensing out to other labels. And but yeah, I mean that is their whole goal. You could ask anybody who, has there are people I know who have created sub labels and wanted to push movies and are huge proponents of physical media and love their collections.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're also just going to make sure it's on Apple TV and it's on, whatever service. So you can, yeah, it's all just accessibility, because then those people will be like, hey, where's my movie?
Yeah.
Just like we could be like, well, where's my movie? Like the ideal world is, yeah, it's on digital and it's on physical and it's available in both places and anybody can get it. Having one or the other, yeah, that kind of sucks sometimes. But as long as there's some version, maybe the physical is better than what's on streaming, which is the case many times. Maybe the streaming version
Always.
is HD and you only have a DVD copy. It
Yeah.
can go back and forth, but as long as it's there, like, aren't we just happy that these things are available? Because they're really not out to screw anybody, and they are, you know, I've been getting called sellout and whatever, but like they are a business. So if you don't support the business, then the business fails and then you get nothing. So like if you want them to just do crazy stuff that's not going to make them money, they might be able to do that for a year, but then it's going to all dry up and they're all going to get laid off and there's going to be no home entertainment department and then there's going to be nothing. So the alternative is a lot worse. Like there is a business. People are working on this. People need to get paid. They should probably get paid more, and less of it should go to the guys at the top. I'll fight
Yep.
for that all day. But it's a business, and they have to make money, and they have to be able to sit there and prove. And sometimes the digital sales will prove that something is viable for physical,
That's
or
right.
vice versa. And if they don't have that, like, and sometimes the digital sales save a bad physical media project so that they can at least get into the green and do the next one.
Yeah.
And yeah, it can go both ways. Like they have to use all available channels because they're up against it with streaming. They're up against it with the competition of even platforms like YouTube and like younger generation just like not watching movies and just watching like streams and YouTuber, and like they're up against it in so many different ways that they just have to make it profitable no matter what it takes, or it's all going to go away. And like
Yeah.
that's worst case scenario.
That's worst case scenario. I hope that that's not where we're headed, but we do. I don't know. I always try to walk the line between wanting to be a responsible consumer who actually,
Hmm.
I spend hundreds of dollars a month on physical media. I know people are like, you get everything for free. No, I don't. I
No.
do get things for free, but I also spend tons and tons of money on physical
Yeah.
media every single month because I love it and because I believe in supporting I believe in supporting creators. I believe in sending a message to the studio that this is what I want. I like this thing and I want more of it. So I always say every dollar we spend and every dollar we don't spend sends a message. At the
Hmm.
same time, we can't break the bank. You
No.
have to be responsible. And it is not my responsibility. Having said all of what I just said, it's not my responsibility to keep Shout Factory in business or whatever. I can only do what works for me. And I'm seeing a lot of people going broke, man, going broke trying to
Yeah,
chase.
I know. I that and that'll happen in any hobby.
Yeah, well,
Like it'll happen with anything you get into collecting, hobbies, anything that because there's a dopamine hit with buying something new and getting the Amazon package or getting the box from Vinegar Syndrome or whoever it may be. Like there's a dopamine hit there. It's not collecting and getting down a rabbit hole there is not too far removed from a lot of other nasty habits that you can fall into and like make yourself sick. So yeah, you can get there. It's set up in the same way. It's constantly being fed to you. There's new stuff all the time. You do have to be very responsible. And yeah, it's nobody's. I'm in the same boat. Like you do not need to spend $500 a month with Show Factory to keep them in business. What you should do is just buy the stuff that you like and you care about and just, you vote with your wallet and then they find out what works and what doesn't work. And if they're doing too much, they'll cut it back. If they're not doing enough, they'll put out some more. They'll figure it out as a business and like you guide them as the consumer. But yeah, you do you do not need to buy everything and buy every version. Honestly, I think it's almost not helpful because then they don't know what's working and what's not working
a good point.
to a certain degree. Like if everybody just bought everything, then it could just be junk in, junk out. Like it would just they wouldn't know what to do. I mean, they'd be
Well,
thrilled, but like
for a
what
short,
what
they'd be thrilled for a short amount of time. But to your point, I lived through this with comics in the '90s, is when it became more of a speculator market. They were
yeah.
relying on interesting covers, steelbooks. They were relying on slipcover. Covers are now an analog to slipcover. It's the gimmick. It's not the function of the thing. It's not the story. It's like the gimmick of the packaging that's selling a lot of this stuff. And
Hmm.
again, I'm not calling anybody out. I'm not saying like, oh, you shouldn't be doing this. They got to do
No,
whatever works. But when people are chasing these to the point that they're buying multiple copies of something like, well, this is one to open, one to keep, or whatever, it is inevitably going to collapse on itself because that's not a
yeah,
sustainable model. And when it does collapse on itself, it's going to create a vacuum that's going to pull a lot of companies down because they've been relying on that income. And when that bubble bursts, companies are going to fail. So to your point,
yeah,
uh, only buy what you really want. Don't buy something out of responsibility or to don't oh, I hate sidebar when Shout Factory like does these limited site exclusives, they'll let you buy 5 at a time. I'm like, don't do that. Just let people buy 1 or 2 because I feel like that 4 of
right,
them end up on eBay, right? And then you fuel the
exactly.
speculator market, and that creates a bubble.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
don't actually know why well, you know why? Because as a business, they're like, well, we don't, if you buy five, great, we're getting the money. But yeah, it does create that bubble. And there are so many examples. Like you talking comic books. I did sports cards in the 90s. Massive. They were everywhere. There were cards for every movie and TV show ever made. Every sport had, there were 8 companies making baseball cards
Mhm.
and it all blew up and it all died. And it's funny because now it's actually back and it's become speculative again and it's gonna burst again. And yeah, I saw and there's you want to go down a crazy like have you seen the people like selling graded copies of 4K discs on eBay? There was like a graded
Crazy.
copy of the Oppenheimer Steelbook and it's like y'all know that like Walmart just reprinted like probably 50,000 of those and put them out on the shelves, right? Like that is not a rare item. And Like that is craziness. And I think most people would call that out as craziness right now. But yeah, you can get caught in that all that speculation. And that's actually why I'm excited about what Walmart's doing, even though it's a lot of steel books and they're pushing that. I think steel books I think a lot of people just like to own them. That's their
Yeah,
preferred method. And
sure.
I,
Yeah.
I certainly like a good steel book too, but I like what they're doing because they're literally taking all the Best Buy stuff that was kind of getting speculative. And they're just like, we have a new deal with Studio. We're going to reprint it. And we're going to print 50,000 of them. And those eBay listings for 120 bucks, 150 bucks, those are all dead. Like those are all going to come down. We're just going to give these things to people because they sold well and we know they want them. There's no reason I'm holding out. So I like that they're bringing a lot of those back because it hopefully will kill some of that speculation
And
in
it
that
needs
weird
to die.
market.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
When a
it's a
new
really
announcement
strange
comes
thing.
out and somebody goes, "Oh, I guess my copy's going to go down in value." Good. Good.
It's not for value. Yeah, realistically, not most of what you collect. It's right now it's mass produced media. We're not the reason that there is some value to like an older VHS tape or something is because there's only a few copies. Like they actually are rare. And so, yeah, they'll go for more money. They're hard to find. A bunch of them are probably in landfills somewhere. Like that's why. But like to think that a movie that came out last month on a 4K, which is also available on Blu-ray and DVD and on every digital service and is like going to be worth money, it's not the reason to buy anything. They might be worth money short term.
You're
If you
right.
really want to be that guy, you can flip them on eBay and maybe double your money. But like, if you're trying to sit on that stock and sell them in 3 years because they're going to be super rare, they're
Hmm.
not. They're not. They're just going to get reprinted and reprinted, and that's yeah. There should be no tracking of value. It's
Right.
cool to have stuff that's rare and valuable, and you have a movie that is really hard to get. You have one of those dogma copies or whatever. Like, that's cool. I would talk about that all day, but I don't want to talk about it in a way that it's like, oh, this is worth 150 bucks because I'm not gonna sell it. I'm not a like you're not speculating, you're not investing and then trying to flip. That's a different group. I,
Hmm.
th- I hope than a lot of people I talked to. Um,
It's a different group, but they do walk among us,
they're
and
preying on this community.
that's
Yeah,
exactly what it is. They're
yeah,
preying on this community.
yeah. It's definitely it's I think not it's that 1%, but they're taking the rest of us, whoever they can get to come along for the ride, they're taking for the ride when it comes to the eBay listings, which is not good. Yeah, I would
Yeah.
stay away from that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Good advice. Man, I can't believe we've been talking for almost an hour. Um,
It's easy to just get going.
I know. I as you embark on this new chapter, I'm like, listen, all the best to you. I'm excited about seeing where you're gonna go. It's gonna be tough because I'm experiencing too. It's hard because you
Mhm.
want to go with what works. You say like I'll say, okay, I want to do this, and then as soon as I start to feel funneled back into the thing that I know works, it's easy to go down that path again. You
Yeah,
stick to what you know works. I got to be bold. I got to be bold and stick to my guns and also realize that I can't continue to make videos that do not excite me personally.
right.
And I wish that for you. Like as you embark on this new chapter as, Jeff and not films at home. I wish you
Yeah.
like success and passion, and there is no substitute for passion. So I think the best days are yet to come, really.
Yeah, I mean that's the reason the change is happening. Is because when I start making stuff when it starts to feel like work and like I think for you've gone full time, right? So like this is
Yeah.
so it's a little bit it is different for there's more pressure on you for sure than like
Super.
on me,
Yeah.
which I can't yeah, like I can't imagine that. I feel more comfortable with it only because I'm doing this. It's part-time stuff. It helps my wife be able to stay home, but it's supplementing some of her income, but I have my job. So yeah, if it all sucks, like it sucks for a little bit and I'll be like, that sucked. But I get to remain passionate about it. So I'm wish you all the luck because it's a tough shift to make. It's almost like shifting careers in a way, almost like kind of shifting what you do, and that's tough. So I hope it works out for both of us. That's the only thing that has me feeling a little bit comfortable, is I'm kind of like, you know what, if I'm passionate about it and I'm still having fun and the views are down 30%, well, maybe that brings me back to levels I was at 2 or 3 years ago, but like those were okay too. And if I can do other stuff, I guess that's the key, is like I want to do more. I want to do more outside of just
Yeah.
YouTube. So
And
I
that's where I'm
really,
at too, is I'm
yeah,
realizing
there's
that this is not a
opportunities
destination.
there.
Yeah, this is not a destination.
No.
This is a stepping stone. This is a tool, but
Yeah.
it can't be everything. It can't be
Yeah.
the focus. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, I mean, that's my goal too. And the passion shows. And, I think we both made some good connections with people, and things are moving the way we had hoped with like where this could take us. So yeah, hopefully it keeps going that way. We keep getting different opportunities and people see us popping up in some different areas that aren't just on
Mhm.
your computer or your phone or on Instagram or whatever. Like,
And you know what else we've done is we've built this, both of our audiences are, which is a lot of a crossover audience, but we've built this not as characters, but as ourselves, just being real
yeah,
and approachable and not chasing outrage, not pretending to be, a wacky, or like not being the angry guy, we're the angry 4K
right.
vloggers, whatever. Like we're not characters, we're just being ourselves. And that's
Yeah.
you people get what they get what they see. They see what you see is what you get. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good point, because we're real people and there are going to be ups and downs, and like we're
Yeah.
going to change our minds. Like I've recently kind of changed and shifted my perspective, and like if I was just fake, then I could have just kept doing the fake, scripted stuff that some PR agency had written out for me over the next 3 years of like, here's how you go from here to here, and keep following the script. And like that's just not the reality if you're a real person. So that's a really good point. In a world of AI and loss of human touch, hopefully people keep coming back for these conversations, and real people who actually exist and have thoughts and emotions and like human
Points of view.
intelligence, not machine intelligence.
Right. Points of view, opinions that aren't always
Yeah.
popular, and
Yeah.
yeah, unique perspectives. Tell people where, I mean, obviously they know your YouTube channel is now it's still at Films at Home, right?
You
It's
can
still
still, yeah, so that's the thing. If you search Films at Home, you still find it all. But yeah, it's under my name now. And then social's kind of all over the place. Like Twitter's under my name and TikTok's under my name, but Instagram and Facebook, Meta does not want me to change my name. Zuckerberg is holding me back. He won't approve it. They're both in review for a month. So eventually those will change. But I mean, no matter what, like you'll probably just stumble upon the stuff somewhere and see it,
Mhm.
within this world. Like I said, I'm not dramatically changing. So if you've been looking for that type of content, you're still going to find it. It's still going to be me.
Now you cover fly fishing. You just switched your whole model to fly fishing.
I do love to fish, and if I had more time, strap a GoPro to my chest and I'd be out there all the time doing that too. But boy, there's no time for that. I barely get out to fish, period.
Black eyes like a doll's eyes. Black or white. All right, Jeff, thank you so much. I know you don't do a lot
Yeah,
of this. I appreciate you coming here to talk to me.
of
Yeah,
course.
this
Anytime.
was a great chat. All right, I'll talk to you later, man.
All right.